Hello, welcome back to Health Score. Today we're back in the category of rest and activity, and we're talking specifically about resistance training. The recommendation is to engage in resistance training using the major muscles of your body at least twice per week. The evidence is significant that there's a strong reduction in premature death for those who engage in strength training at least twice weekly compared to those who do not. What exactly is the mechanism for this benefit? There are multiple reasons. In general, we tend to lose lean muscle mass and it's replaced with fat as we age. Resistance training reverses this trend. By resistance training, we increase our metabolic rate, and this leads to less risk of obesity and less risk of central adiposity or belly fat, which is particularly harmful from a metabolic and cardiovascular standpoint. Regular strength training improves insulin sensitivity in the muscles. Insulin sensitivity is what's required to take up glucose into muscle tissue. And when we develop insulin resistance, we go on to develop diabetes. So any intervention that can improve insulin sensitivity in the muscles will improve uptake of glucose by muscles and decrease our risk of diabetes. And finally, resistance training has been shown to decrease systemic inflammation. And systemic inflammation is a common pathway for most chronic illnesses and diseases. Some tips for engaging in resistance training. I should say that most people think of strength training as something you do in the gym with free weights, and it actually doesn't have to be. You can think of strength training as anything where you're working all of the major muscles of your body against resistance. And that resistance doesn't have to be free weights. It could be your own body weight. It could be resistance bands. I personally do yoga twice a week. I use the Down Dog app, which is a great, convenient way of getting in my strength training. I don't need to go to a gym. I don't even need to be inside. I could go to a park and do it on the grass. And a lot of people ask, well, how long do I have to exercise for it to count as resistance training? And these studies don't actually say that there's a minimum amount of time in an episode of strength training for it to count. In general, the principle should be that you're using all of your major muscles against resistance. And a 15-minute session of yoga twice weekly is how I accomplish that. Another popular app is called the Home Workout. This is for people who like more of a traditional resistance training. It uses your own body weight. So again, a gym is not required. Now, what I find with resistance training is that people tend to they run hot and cold. So when they are doing strength training, they consider that going to the gym, working out for an hour or two, 3 to 5 times a week. That usually occurs in January and February. Then work takes over. They don't go to the gym for 4 or 5 months. Then something that gives them more time to go back to the gym. They do that for a couple of months and they stop. The evidence in the medical literature really shows the value of a consistent twice weekly commitment to strength training, not this sort of like bouts of intensity throughout the year and bouts of lack of muscle training. So I recommend you always keep in mind that even if you're going all out in the gym, you don't need to go all out in the gym to accrue all of the benefits of strength training. And it's good to fall back onto a twice weekly, perhaps in-home app-based workout when you otherwise wouldn't have time to do so. We've discussed the value of strength training both on reducing premature death, and we talked specifically about some of the mechanisms involved in improving health. I described how resistance training is more than just going to the gym and lifting weights, that there are a bunch of popular, convenient apps to try, and that the most important thing in the end for each week is that you engage in twice weekly activities that work your major muscles against resistance. I hope you're able to adopt these habits, and I wish you the best of luck in maintaining a commitment to twice weekly strength training. Thank you very much.